I think number two, having a chance to work for and work with Coach Riley and the elite job that he has done on the offensive side of the ball. And then an opportunity to make an impact. You get a chance to walk in a situation where the success is again not matched by many programs out there. And you can come in and one, be a part of it, and two, hopefully add to it.
That was Alex Grinch. The new coaches met with the media the other day, and Grinch basically kind of laying out what we would expect him to, that, hey, look, that this is a chance. I'm coming to a great program, a program where you have an outstanding chance to win, an outstanding chance to build. And quite frankly, for the most part, I would imagine, RJ, he'll be left to his devices to run the defense the way he sees fit.
I would think so. I mean, you're paying him a lot of money. I mean, Bill Haston was out front with this, paying him, I think, more than $1.5 million a year to basically turn around the defense, take it from being one of the worst in college football to one of the best in college football, because that's what he was able to do at Washington State with, quite frankly, just a worse assortment of talent and a worse recruiting apparatus. And pulling people to Pullman, that ain't no easy win, man. And at Oklahoma, yeah, you're expecting a lot, and you also understand what the fan base is expecting from you.
What do you think the chances are, RJ, of the talent on hand and that coming in that's been signed and recruited, that they can have a dynamic turnaround in 2019?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you're calling dynamic. If you're calling dynamic inside the top 25, I think it's possible, but I wouldn't necessarily bank on it. Inside top 50, I think everybody would be very happy with that, especially what the offense has been able to do. And this guy has been going up against the same sort of scheme in Lincoln Riley's pro raid that he saw at Washington State in the air raid. And it wasn't like Ohio State was bad at scoring with the ball last year. So he's used to facing good offenses in practice. But when you're talking about turning this team around, I think the talent is already there. But I've said that from jump. I don't necessarily think that this is a talent issue. I know everybody wants more defensive tackles and better defensive linemen, but I think you got what you need there. I think it's about motivating the kids, and I think it's about proving to them, as much as they prove to you, that you're on their side and that you want them to win and you want them to be great.
Looking at, obviously, what they have there, I've said this, I feel like, hey, look, there's some young building blocks there. There's some young, players who have some chance to be good, and it's not one of those things where, look, I feel like, you've brought in talent, it just hasn't developed. If they can get some guys developed, they have some talent to work with.
Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of the thing, though, right, Patrick? There's been talent there for the last 5 years.
That's what I've kept saying.
Yeah,
recruiting hasn't been the problem.
Right, and now that you're bringing in Grinch and you've gotten rid of a guy in Kerry Cooks that, quite frankly, recruited really, really well. But when you talk about developing the talent on the field, it wasn't always there. That said, a lot of this has to do with scheme as well, right? Because scheme is about putting your players in the best positions to be themselves. We say to succeed, but to be themselves, okay? If you have a guy who is a down 5 technique that you're asking to catch blocks, and that's not what he's done when he got there, you're probably not going to be very good. If you got a guy like Kenneth Murray Jr., who played safety and outside linebacker, playing Mike for the last 2 years, he's probably not his best at playing in the middle. So I'm really interested to see what the moving and shaking is, because what I've been led to believe and what we're hearing is that everybody not only has to fight for a job, but everybody might be put in a different job, especially when you're talking about your more talented guys coming in, like Buki, who played nickel but played corner in high school and was a 5-star corner. I'm really interested to see where he thinks these kids fit in his scheme and how much of his scheme is going to be built around what they already do well, as opposed to what he's most comfortable coaching.
Speaking of schemes, RJ, we're talking with RJ Young of OUinsider.com and also on the Sports Channel. RJ, how much do you think Riley will have to tweak his scheme to fit Jalen Hurts? I don't think it'll have to be very much, but what do you think?
I think there are things that he does well that you're going to want to throw in there, but I don't think it's tweaking. I think the playbook is actually pretty big for Lincoln. I think he just shrinks it by the time we get to preseason camp, because you'll see him with basically a table napkin over there calling plays. But let's face it, this is a very physical, athletic quarterback in the way that a lot of guys aren't. Usually when you get a Jalen Hurts in high school, That guy doesn't play quarterback anymore. He plays linebacker or running back because you have other guys that you think can do that. But when you look at the way that he can throw the ball and you look at how well he does it on the run, yeah, this guy is going to give you lots of opportunities to do things in the passing game that, frankly, you could do with Kyler Murray, right? But you could also do with Baker. You're just going to see more zone read style of plays. You're going to see all the things that everybody knows we're going to see, honestly. But I think what's understated about Jalen Hurts is the maturity of what you have there on a team that is going to be experienced and very talented, but also quite young. We're talking about the offensive line. They're going to depend on him a lot to show them the way to do this. And we're talking about these 5-star wide receivers that are coming in to bolster this already great group of wide receivers. So I think a lot of it is also going to depend on them. I think a lot of it is going to be, what does Trey Sermon do well? What does Kennedy Brooks do well? What can this offensive line handle? All right, Jalen, this is what we can do with the pieces we have around us with you. And I think so much of this is going to be about, what he can do, but also let's remember that the offense is 11 guys and not just the quarterback.
And again, we had Kirk McNair from Bama Mag on earlier, and one of the things that I alluded to is, hey, this is a credible guy, a guy that it's hard for someone to transfer in and just kind of to be a leader. And I'm not saying that he's going to be the leader, but especially for those young freshmen, especially who saw what he's done in his career, especially for maybe some of the new guys who are going to be first-time starters. Having a guy of that credibility would go a long way, much more than say, look, Tanner Mordecai might be a super talented guy and can get things done, but he doesn't have that credibility that Jalen Hurts would have, being a guy who's done it at a high level and won a championship.
Well, I think it's going to be more like what Brandon Weeden was at Oklahoma State. It's just an older guy for which you're going to treat him differently. You're going to treat him like one of the coaches. You're going to treat him like an adult. You're going to come to him with problems that you really need answers for. And credibility, I understand, and I get that. That's a very good point, Patrick. I also just think that more than anything else, his job is going to be Big Brother. His job is going to be, you guys are good enough to win now. You're good enough to win not just the Big 12 championship, but a semifinal game and a national championship. That's his job coming in, is to wear that ring out around his neck, if you will, and just show everybody, hey, you see me? This is how I got here. You're not that far away. You're right there on the door. Let's go walk through.
Excellent stuff as always, RJ. We appreciate it. We'll chat with you on Thursday.
All right, fellas. I appreciate you.
Excellent. RJ Young, OUinsider.com. Check him out on Twitter at RJ_Young.